on another level, killing all the devils. Last time I said it would be the last time. Now try to liberate. I'm on the straight and now. I think I finally found out.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of 7513, the podcast. What it do? What it do?
Sup. What's good, y'all?
What's good? So first off, I just want to wish you all a happy new year. We're officially into the new year. 2025. Wow, man.
Yeah. 25.
2024 came and went like rent was due.
Golly.
But for those of y'all who are new, I'm going to go ahead and do a round of introductions. It's your boy, your favorite Olympian, Edelsa. I'll be hosting y'all this episode.
Yes, sir.
As you can see, normally Ike is in this spot, but he couldn't be here with us today. So
it's a mutiny.
We miss you, Ike. We hope to see you back soon. So I'm going to go ahead.
Actually, we don't miss you. Stay away. We got Edelsa now.
He got some new blood.
Yeah.
Dang.
Hey.
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah,
shout out
Ike.
to you, Ike.
We
We love you, bruh.
Love you.
Yeah, but who's this guy right here in front of me? What's up? Talk to the people.
Oh, God.
It's your boy, Chief Zomway,
Yeah.
a.k.a. Promway, a.k.a. Dante, a.k.a. your mama, daddy, that'll say A-Day, Tale, Young Look, I say, Big Z, Yabba Dabba Doo Day,
Yeah, this
but
guy's,
we not fruity.
this guy's rusty.
2025,
Yeah.
I see. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah. What?
All right. Who to the left of me, sitting diagonal from me?
Yo, what it do, Batman? It's your boy Talele, man. Obviously, Zomway is rusty.
A.k.a. 830.
Oh, God. Somebody take me out, please. But yeah.
All right. Last but not least.
What's good, y'all? Written Vision in the building. Ready for this episode. Very excited to see my boy Edelsa host. I haven't been on an episode with Zonway, so not the season. Nah.
For real?
Excited for this dynamic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is gonna be a brand new dynamic.
Yeah, this is a new
never
dynamic.
been on the podcast.
Fresh.
So yeah, I'm ready. I'm excited.
All right, bet. So, y'all know the names. If you see the video, you see the faces. So I'm going to just get right into it. So, typically we do a thing what we call the icebreaker.
Yeah.
But this is my show right now. So we're going to do something a little different.
He said this is my show, though.
You better take ownership, boy.
Yeah, we're going to do something a little different.
Come on now.
This is what I like to call the appetizer.
Hey, I like that.
Clock it.
I'm getting a little hungry.
So basically, the appetizer is something similar. It's a question similar to what we do for the icebreaker, but the appetizer is more so a question pertaining to the actual topic of the podcast. And so for today's appetizer, this is a question I heard in the podcast, and it had me think real deeply. So I'm going to ask you all. If all you had tomorrow was what you were grateful for today, what would you have?
Damn. What?
Say it again.
If all you had tomorrow was what you were grateful for today, what would you have?
Golly.
Is this like a trick question? Or
That's what I'm saying. Hold on.
Nah, I don't think it's like a
it's just
puzzle.
like-
It's just like a.
It's like honest.
Like,
it's like
Yeah, to be honest.
What are you grateful for now?
I think it's because we're so used to Ike and,
Yeah.
his trickery. I'm not used to all this
Yeah.
This guy
honesty.
giving us food for thought.
Right.
Nah, this is
Appetizer.
good.
Appetizer for real.
Appetizer for the mind, man.
Okay.
All you had tomorrow was what you were grateful for today.
What would you have?
What would you have?
I think I would have. My creativity. I think I would have, when all else boils away, that is Tale is just at his core is just a creative guy trying to find different outlets. So I think, if all I had tomorrow, everything was gone, my apartment, where I live, where I stay my clothes, I'm naked.
Your cat.
My cat. Oh, everything like that. Yeah, it will be my creativity. It will find a way, even though I don't have like my guitar, I don't have anything. I have a voice, so it will be that, my creativity.
That's what's up. That's what's up. I'm glad that you're grateful for the creativity. You know what I'm saying? Because like, with gratitude, it's such a powerful thing, right? And there's actual health benefits to gratitude. And so when I thought of this question, I was just like, dang it. If all I had tomorrow is what I was grateful for today, like it just puts me in a constant state of gratitude, regardless of how life is or how wherever life might throw at you and stuff like that. To just always be grateful, even if things around you are in shambles. So what about you, Vision?
I'd have these racks, boy.
Why you put my hands up from like season 2?
There's money,
But you wouldn't
there's
have the racks.
guapo.
Would you have the racks?
He would if that's what he's grateful for today.
Oh, okay.
Hey, I'm thankful for them.
No, I mean the way that you put that.
Nah, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Stripped
I was
everything.
definitely using his shtick.
That was a callback.
For the season, what, 2?
Nah,
season 2.
if all I had was what I was grateful for today, it's all about the family. Yeah, it's like honestly, family and community. That's at the end of the day something that I've learned to be very grateful for this year. And very appreciative for. I'm not gonna be long-winded, but yeah, family and community.
That's what's up. I'll go next because I don't want to be last. But for me, kind of similar to Vision, definitely family, definitely community. Like, I'm extremely grateful for my community. You know, I'm grateful for you guys. You know, just having that community. You realize that once you leave the community, you realize how abnormal it is to have a community of people around your age who are all like-minded, who are all very ambitious and things like that. And the one thing I'm also grateful for, truly and honestly, is just the journey, man. The journey to wherever it is I'm trying to go. Like, I remember when I finished my race at the Olympics, some dude was just tapped my shoulder. He was like, "Hey, man, you good? It's over." And I was just like, dang.
Wow.
It is over. But, like, I was just so grateful for just the process of getting there.
10
and so it's
years
just
for that
always
one
been, right, just we spent so much time on this one moment. And so for me, it's just always being grateful for the journey rather than so much so focused on the destination.
That's
So,
good.
Yeah. What about you, Zamwe?
Addition to what you guys said, I would say,
No, you got to choose one thing.
one thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like everything that you guys said.
No. You can't have any of it.
It's like, no. I would say health, as far as like physical health and mental health. Just thinking about like willpower, like what's the word? Ambition. Like, I'm grateful for that. Just grateful for faith. Grateful for willpower. Like, just like if everything was stripped away from me, I had nothing else, I would still have that mindset to just figure something out. Like, get something done. Talk to somebody else that has it that can help me out. And all that, I see that as like just a good place to be mentally. Like, that's good mental health. To just be in a place where it's like, if all else fails, it's basically like what you said a little bit. Like, I have my mind. Like, the mind is the most powerful thing you can have. Yeah.
You can make anything out of that.
It's true.
And then just like physical health in general, that's really important. Health is wealth.
Health is wealth.
Bro, say that one more time.
Health is wealth, bro.
That joint is,
I've been running a lot recently. I've been doing 5Ks. Excuse me. And it feels really different. Like, the air you're breathing it feels different. You feel more, it feels like crisp. Whenever I finish a run, I'm just like, whoa, like, dang.
That's that runner's
And it
high.
just feels
That's what
good. It's
it
like,
is.
man, thank God that I can actually breathe like this. Like, thank God that my body is functioning the way it is. So I'm actually grateful for physical health too.
Physical health is
That joint is definitely
Especially
wealth,
like when you're
man.
sick too.
Bruh.
Like, you don't really appreciate it until like you're sick.
when you
like, you can't breathe through your nose.
when you can't breathe, you realize
oh,
how much for granted you take
breathing.
the ability
It's
to
true.
breathe, bro.
It's true.
Sorry,
It's
just
so
give
true.
me my breath.
Or like when you have a sore throat, you
Yeah.
can't even swallow, bro.
That joint's crazy.
Nah,
never
health
know what
is
you got
wealth,
till it's
bro.
gone.
Honestly,
It's true. But this is just a reminder, man. Just be grateful for all things.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
anything going on in your life, be grateful. Also, be grateful for the sake of being grateful. Don't be grateful at the expense of other people because they don't have it. Like, I think a lot of times some
I'm
people
grateful.
be
that's
like,
big.
oh, thank God because you do this, have this thing. Other people don't
other
have it.
people.
And it's like,
Yeah.
you can't really
That's
say that to
not
other
why you gotta
people.
be grateful.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly. That's not why you should be grateful. Be grateful for the sake of like just having those things that you know what it feels like to be sick or to like not have. So
Yeah.
yeah. So moving on, right? So today's topic, with it being a new year, a lot of people do these things called New Year's resolution. And okay, shout out our producer, Young Look.
Young Look.
Yeah, man. So when it comes to, new habits and new goals and new resolutions, there's this phrase that I really truly love, and it's called trust the process. So what does that mean to y'all? When you hear trust the process, what does that mean?
This guy's always throwing
Edison card.
right. Trusting the process. I think whenever I hear that, I tend to think of like, I guess it's like, what is a process, right? Like just like a series of stuff or whatever to reach an end goal. And in between those times, it can get really hard. And, the goal isn't in sight. And you might falter because of it. But when you trust the process, it's like instead of looking at just the goal, you're looking at the whole actions that you're taking towards the goal. And kind of like, dang, I'm within this joint. And it's like, I know that I won't, even though I'm faltering, I won't ultimately fail because the process is like, I'm trusting it. Like I'm trusting like what's going on and basically like not faltering, I guess.
Nah, it's true. And I think when it comes to trusting the process, I think the hard part is that we're so impatient with it.
Yeah.
And so we want the end goal like right now, but people don't realize that the end goal could be 10 years from now. So are you still going to trust the process even when it's a 10 years from now goal, 5 years from now? Sometimes, and the thing is, the outcome isn't even in your control. So like you can't control when you're gonna achieve that goal. Yeah, you can have like, I want to do this year, or I want to lose, X amount of weight, or I want to make this amount of money in this year. Sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. But like, what you gonna do when it doesn't happen? Are you just gonna give up and quit cold turkey because you didn't accomplish this thing? And that's why it's so important to be able to trust the process, because you're gonna spend more time in the process than you do the end result.
Yeah.
So we have to get comfortable with like learning the process and enjoying it, because the only thing that's gonna happen is you get somewhere, you're just gonna want something else, and it's just gonna be a never-ending cycle. Exactly, you go enjoy it for like 2 seconds, and then it's like, all right, now what? And I can go deeper into like personal stories and stuff like that later on, but yeah. So thank you, Tale, for answering that question. And so I just want to also talk about, when it comes to trust in the process. And we're men of faith, right? And so it's important that we include God within our process. And I think when it comes to, trusting God with certain things, it can be very challenging, right? Because we want to be in control all the time. And it's just some things only God can do. Like whether it's salvation for a sibling or a relative, or just any like healing for someone who might have like cancer or something like that. Like literally only God can do this thing. And so what makes trusting God so difficult? Vision, I'll go start with you.
Well, I think something that I've established over the last 3 seasons is my impatience. I think I'm known for that now. I mean, hey man, that's a thorn in my side, so I'm gonna stick with it.
A lot of people.
Yeah, but at least self-awareness. So I think me personally, it's hard to trust God through the process a lot of times because of my natural impatience, right? However, I've from a young age, I've realized that my impatience isn't necessarily towards the goal. It's more so an impatience towards like idleness, if that makes sense. So like if there is nothing being done at all, right, I feel what's the word? Anxious, right? It's like, okay, like let's at least do something, right? So I think that's where the control aspect comes in, right? Where for me, yes, I have the impatience, but then I also have that desire to control something, right? Where God might say, just relax, right? Let the water settle, let the mud settle, so you can see clearly through the water, right? And know more accurately where you're going, because you're not wasting energy. In my mind, being still and letting, time just pass me by feels uncomfortable personally for me. So I like to fill it with things and make sure my hands are, active doing something. And a lot of times that might get me into, somewhere that God doesn't want me to be. A couple of episodes ago, we talked about, I talked about, what percentage is praying versus, action, right? And I said that whole thing about like, I'll let God catch up, right? So that was my mentality for a while because, again, the idleness is really uncomfortable for me. But yeah, that's what hinders me sometimes from trusting in God.
For sure. No, I sure think that's a good answer. Thank you for being honest and transparent. Zame, what's up with you?
I'm pretty much the same as 80 as far as patience, especially just as a creative. I know a lot of creatives can relate. The way I look at life is like, it's like a movie that you're a part of, but you don't know the end. You're literally a part of that movie. And it'll be easier if we like saw the end, like how the movie ends. Because then we'll be like, okay, I'll wait. It's going to be worth
trust
it.
that, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be worth it in the end. Like it's going to be a good ending. But the fact that we can't see how it's going to end up just makes us very anxious, like 80 said. And so that's my thing, just patience and just not knowing what the end result is going to look like. You kind of want to move God's hand, or steer it, like especially if it's not looking like how it should be. It's looking kind of So it's like, dang, let me try and steer it. But yeah, I think that's just human nature.
Yeah, I agree. Talele?
Yeah, trusting God. I think it's like kind of two-pronged for me at least. Number one, to hear God and like see God move, it takes like it's not like a physical thing, it's spiritual. And sometimes tapping into that spiritual side is not, I like to be practical, I like to be real. I'm not always tapped in the sense of like,
that's good. That's facts.
Yeah, that's fact. Like, seeing into the spiritual, you gotta like, it's a conscious effort, low key for me. And like tapping into God and like, all that stuff. It's like, it's not like innate. It's not like, oh, I see stuff moving. Oh, yeah, it's automatic. Like, I'm like, yo, it's, So, there's that. And, like 80 and Z said, the patriarchy made. It's like, no, wait, I was like, where are you going with that? Let me land. So the patriarchy makes it that men feel like because we're so responsible for things, and so basically society has basically taught us to like, we always got to lead. We always got to be driving. We always got to like, let me drive the boat. You know what I'm saying? Like, we always got to be driving. We always got to be at the wheel. So I can speak for myself. It makes it difficult for me to let God lead or trust God in the process because it's like I'm so used to like being responsible, getting it out the mud. You know what I'm saying? Working for whatever I got. And sometimes I had like, even when I'm like, yeah, I did that, but then I had to like slow down and be like, oh, look at that. I had no control over that. That was obviously a higher power. So it's difficult to like just let God like do his thing because it's just like, bro, okay, what do I got to do? Just like 80 saying like that. I don't. It's just like, I'm not working in my masculinity. I'm not being a man. Like, I'm just sitting here letting things pass by, or I feel like I'm
sitting
letting things.
Couch.
Yeah, sitting on the couch, letting your life pass by. Why don't you call Everett? Nah, but it's like.
And I guess that begs the question: like, what does that trusting process look like?
Yeah.
Right. I guess it doesn't necessarily have to look like you're idle, right, and not doing anything at all. But I guess I think what we're all talking about, and I think I speak for all of us when I say like, it's easier to continue acting or putting effort into something, right, than it is to like just let that thing be. Because you feel like you have some level of control over the outcome, like Hide said.
Yeah.
Right? And because we're not always tapped in, we don't know when necessarily to kind of just chill out, and pray versus like constantly like, making moves and making things shake or, trying to put things in. So I think the best question for us would be, or the appropriate response from us would be like trying to understand, or be closer to God and learn what He wants us to do.
Yeah.
What action is trusting Him, if that makes sense, right?
No, it makes
something
perfect sense.
something that you said got me thinking. You have to understand what the process is, and so I'm thinking like how a tree grows or how a plant grows. There's a time to sow, then there's a time to water it. You let it stay. Photosynthesis does its thing.
That's really good.
And I think a lot of the time we want to just water. And that's like with ourselves. That's also when you think about like when you're waiting for, or you're believing in God for like a family member to come to Christ. You want to just bombard them with Bible verses. Oh, come with me to church. Come with me to this. But sometimes you gotta learn like just sow the seed, and that's your part, and that's it. Then the rest, like you leave it to God. You pray and you ask God to take care of the rest of the process. He or she is gonna go somewhere else, and somebody else is gonna water it
to that.
And somebody else is gonna go and harvest the crop and all that stuff. So that was really insightful. Like you gotta understand how the process works. You have to understand how the tree grows.
Yeah, and then to even like piggyback off of all that, I think one thing that reason why makes trusting God so difficult is because we're afraid to kind of be let down by God. Like we see God as like, perfect, all-knowing, omniscient, ever present. We know He's a God who like does miracles and answers prayers and all kinds of things. And I think the reason why it's so hard to trust God is it's like we're so afraid to fail. And if we fail, it's like, oh God, like you didn't answer me here. So then it's like our faith will be shaken. And I think sometimes we're afraid of our faith being shaken. And so, he did touched on a good point where he was talking about, wanting to see the end of the movie as this playing out. And I think the issue with that sometimes is that we forget, we won't be as appreciative of today, right? And to AD's point of like the process and stuff like that, it's really important to be present and just focus on what you can do right now, right? There's so much power in the now. There's so much power in the present. Yes, you can be future minded, but you don't have to live there. And I think when you constantly try to live there, that's going to produce the anxiety. That's going to produce, all kinds of things. But when you're able to really be fully invested in the process, like one light will shine, that's the step you need to take. Another light will shine, you take that next step. And then over time, before you know it, you'll just have a long list of the journey, and then before you know it, boom, you'll be at the destination that you were looking for. And so there's just so much power. Even in the Bible, it talks about, Matthew 6:34, where it says, each day has enough trouble of its own, so just worry about today. And that's actually, like, don't worry about tomorrow, just focus on today. And that's actually one of my favorite verses, because it's like, dang, God, like, each day has enough trouble of its own. Just focus on what you have to do today.
Especially in this economy.
Right. Like, just focus on what you got to do right now. Like, granted, yes, we can have big goals, or big audacious goals that only God can do. Or just focus on what God wants you to do right now. Just focus on the one step. Like, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one single step. So like, just take that first step and then just take the next one. One thing I tell people all the time is just one foot in front of the other. Just take a step, take another step, take another step. And before you know it, you're going to start running. So like, it's just, and that's all running is, for essentially just one foot in front of the other, just taking endless steps. But
that's what
eventually you'll get quicker with it. So
that's what I've been realizing since I started like running. It feels like, especially when you're running like very paced and slow, it feels like you're not making any progress or movement. But like when you think about it, like when you're done, you check your time. It's like, damn, I ran like 3 whole miles.
Exactly.
I felt like it wasn't going anywhere, but you're actually making progress.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like, we try to measure progress by speed, right? And essentially, like, look how far you've come, right? And when you're able to look back, you're like, dang. And granted, we get overwhelmed because of how far we have to go, but it's like, look how far you've come. Look at God. Like, he answered, this thing, that thing, that thing, that thing. And so I think it's important that we remember that as we're still, believing God, especially in the new year, for like these big goals and stuff like that, or these big prayer points that we might have. Is just, take time to look at what God has done, on this day and yesterday. Like, one thing I try to do is to celebrate those small wins. Like, like for me, for example, I'm preparing for this upcoming track season, And if I have a good run, I'm like, yo, I bodied that joint. I be hyping myself up. It's like those little things. And like one thing I also tell people to do too is like let the days stack on top of each other. Like if you like compound interest, like it might, like, you know, they give you the whole thing of like, oh, if you take a penny that doubles every day for like X amount of years, or we just take this amount of money in cash. A lot of people will say they took the money in cash, but like the penny that doubles is going to be a lot more. Granted, it's going to take longer, but sometimes that's just what it is. And that just shows like the power of being present, right? Just being able to focus on what you got to do today to take those micro steps. And then before you know it, when you live one day at a time, things will stack up. And then you look back and then boom, like there's just a lot of progress that has been made. And you can look back and say, wow, God, like I see what you was doing all this time, and you appreciate, you know, the journey it took to get there. Cause like I said before, you get to that big goal, all you're gonna want is a new goal. Like I'm trying to tell you, especially you listeners, man. I know y'all believe in God for a lot of stuff. Learn to embrace the journey ahead, man. I'm trying to tell y'all. Yeah, so like I know we talked a lot about, you know, those big goals, but a lot of us don't have the big stuff. So how can we essentially be good stewards of the small things before getting to the big things? I know in the Bible it also talks about, you know, if you're not faithful in the little, how can you be faithful in the big?
Yeah.
You're asking us?
Yeah, man.
Like, nah.
No, you're asking you.
Oh, y'all too? Yeah, let us know in the comments below.
So you said, how do you steward the small?
Yeah, like how you be good stewards with what you have now while still working for what you want later.
I believe that you have to, before you can even be a steward, or to be a steward, you got to like take notes. You got to take note of what you got. Look at what you got and then plan accordingly, right? So a lot of us, they look at like a little piece, or like, for example, when I was younger, I was like, oh yeah, I'm good at computers, so I'm just going to do computers and da-da-da-da-da, not knowing that in reality, it was music that I really want to do and music that I really love. So it's like, I didn't take note of that love of music early on because I didn't basically I didn't take note of it. So you got to take note of the small things first and compartmentalize it and just like look over like what you got, you know, what talents you have, what opportunities, what resources. And as you move forward and planning is so important, bro. I remember, so me and Nahide, we used to we would do like a beginning of the year thing. We were like planning stuff in like quarters, like quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. What music moves we were gonna make. You know, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put out a song right here. I'm gonna have a show right here. Even if it doesn't happen, but the fact that we planned accordingly allow us to not, number one, not stumble over ourselves, and number two, actually have something to look forward and work towards with what we have. But then also we were looking at further stuff. Like, oh yeah, I want this brand deal. I want this. I want that. I want this. And how do we work towards that? So it's like two-pronged. You're not just working on these small things and then forgetting the future. It's like you got one eye on the future and you got one eye on the present, you know? The future, you're not super duper mega focused on, but whenever you see the opportunities using your small, you know, resources or the small goals or the small stuff you're stewarding, you can take it and then run with it, you know? This guy over here,
I was just
way back was doing like a calligraphy service, like like big, like, and then he like was working with what he had, which was like learning how to do letters, all that stuff like that. And then from there, as he was doing that, he was probably like learning like animation. He was learning like how to draw. I mean, he already knew how to draw, but he was learning how to like take his abilities to draw to make other stuff. And then from there, he was learning animation. And then now he's able to like, I mean, big old following.
I was legit about to bring up one write down the vision, right? My name, written vision, where it comes from. You said plan and run with it. Yeah. Right? That's literally write down the vision. Make it plain so that all can see it and run with it. So how do you, in my opinion, how do you become a good steward while you're planning for the future? Write down the vision, right? Plan. And what a vision allows you to do is that it allows you to take steps in the now for the future, right? You're looking at something and you're making plans, you're writing down the road, you're taking steps towards it, right? So I think it's important to know where you want to go, right? Because that'll help you understand the process that you need to do to get there. And also it will motivate you now when you are not where you are, right? Because the day-to-day gets boring.
Oh my gosh.
The day-to-day gets tacit. The day-to-day gets repetitive.
The minutia.
It gets monotonous. It is not fun through the day-to-day. And starting out the day-to-day, you can be inspired, which is phenomenal, but inspiration will only take you so far, right? Inspiration, I think there's inspiration, motivation, all that is great, right? It lights a fire under you, but what will keep you is the discipline.
That's true.
Right? And this is for whatever stage in life that you find yourself. And I'm going to be really practical because we have a lot of people in different stages. We have people in high school. We had people who are in college, G-Day. We have people who are single, bachelor life, people who are married, people who are about to get married, all that stuff, right? So in each step of the way, you'll find that everybody has a goal that they're looking forward to, right? Whether it's graduation, whether it's getting a job, whether it's popping the question, whether it's getting married, whether it's getting a kid, there will always be a star, a North Star that people are working towards. And there has to be processes to get you towards that, right? Whether it's doing your homework or whatever it is, there's always things that you have to do to get you towards your North Star, and you will not always want to do that, right? So as long as you have a written plan, right, an idea of where you want to go, and some level of discipline, that will keep you in the day-to-day, in the monotony, and by God's grace, you'll get there. So that's what held me from calligraphy all the way to animation.
That was a point you touched on that I really want to comment on. And you said the day-to-day gets boring.
Yeah.
Granted, yes, it's extremely boring, but that's where the magic happens.
Yeah, you're good at that.
Exactly.
I think you're the only one.
Let's keep it at stack. Like, this guy is phenomenal at the day-to-day boring consistency, and that is why he is an Olympian.
Yeah.
let's get that out the way, right?
Yeah.
That is the results of day-to-day consistency, right? Being disciplined in the boring stuff, right? You get yourself to that level, and that's, I think we talked about excellence before, right?
Yeah, we did.
What separates the people who are excellent from the people who are good, right? The amount of consistency that they have, and kudos. I commend you. That is a superpower, bro. That
we ain't the one.
Yeah, I personally, I call it spade a spade, bro.
It's boring. The day-to-day minutia.
Shout out to you, man.
It's boring, but at the same time, like, that's where you're gonna spend the majority of your time. And if you learn to appreciate that and love that, you're going to go extremely far in whatever it is that you're trying to do. And I say that because, like you said, the North Star, you get one, next thing that you're going to be happy for like 30 seconds, and then you're going to want something else. And then it's like, I think a lot of, like, so be fully transparent, right? So after I, made the Olympics and all that stuff, for me, I was just reminded so much when I was there, like, thank God I really enjoyed the journey to get here, because after all that stuff, after all the attention, after all, like, the high energy, all that stuff goes away. And then what are you left with? Like, the day-to-day. And so even people, whatever it is you're doing, whether you're looking forward to graduation, whether you're looking forward to, getting married, whether you're looking forward to having children, like, just really learn to appreciate the day-to-day stuff. Yes, it might be boring. Yes, it might be tedious. But you're going to spend the majority of your time there. And there was this quote that I heard that I really love, and it was like, you're going to spend more time climbing the mountain than you do on the peak. And so it's really important that you really love this stuff, bro. Like, I can't stress this enough, especially as you
read that in the book?
No, I heard it in the podcast.
Okay.
But
so
like
good.
As we plan for the new year and as we have all these big audacious goals, like, really enjoy the day-to-day, because if you can get consistent in the day-to-day, bro, you're going to be light years ahead of the competition just by being consistent in the day-to-day. And I think it's just extremely important to, emphasize that, because a lot of people, they don't like the day-to-day. They think it's boring. But people don't realize that in the day-to-day, like, you're learning so much different things. And thing is, like, I heard this in a book. It was like, you're always building your house, right? And whatever it is that you're doing, even in the day-to-day, you might not reach that goal, right? But doing the discipline in the day-to-day for one goal might even help you prepare you for some other goal that you didn't realize that you might not have until maybe a couple years after the fact. And so, don't lose heart in the day-to-day, right? Don't lose heart and think that, oh, I'm wasting my time. This is boring. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm not seeing the results. God, you're not moving. God is working behind the scenes, whether we like it or not. So just keep pushing on the day-to-day. And granted, there's a time and place for everything. Of course, there's times like, maybe I do need to back off on this thing and like maybe pivot or do something else. But really, I think a lot of people, they quit things prematurely because they're not seeing immediate results. And there's so many examples of, like, whether it's famous people or just people in general who all they did was just not give up. They weren't like super talented. They weren't extraordinary. They just didn't give up. And I think there's power in not giving up. Like, I saw a tweet. It was like, you can be grinding for 4 years straight or 5 years straight or 4 years straight, but then on the 5th year, everything just pops off. And like, just the power of not giving up is real. And so I saw that and I was just, inspired by that, because it's true, right? There were so many times where I almost gave up my own Olympic journey. And it's like, dang, like, can this really happen? I don't know. Can I do this? But just, the discipline of the day-to-day stuff really helped me, like, prepare for, like, the next stuff. Yes, I had to change some things around. Yes, I had to make some pivots and stuff like that. But, just staying true to the day-to-day stuff is what helped me get to, the Olympics and being able to, like, travel to different world and different places and stuff.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Do you think it is nature or nurture that got you to be so comfortable in the day-to-day?
Definitely it's a mix of both, but it's more nurture than nature, I think.
How so?
Because I feel like I always enjoyed running throughout my career, but when I left college, I think the discipline turned up a lot, right? So there was times where, this is when I knew I was really disciplined, when I would wake up before church and get my run in, because I knew there was going to be moves after church and I wouldn't have time to be able to, like, do that stuff. College me wouldn't have done that. Like, college me would try to sleep in. I hate waking up early to do this run. We just had practice early all the time. And granted, we had practice early in college too, but, like, I don't know. I just started waking up early. Maybe because I woke up early with, like, a purpose or something like that. But it was definitely more so something I had to work myself into versus, just having it innately. And that's a discipline for a lot of people. Like, it's something that doesn't require talent necessarily. I think it's a skill that can be worked on. It's a hard skill to work on because you don't see the immediate success. It's not one of those skills that's like super, super vibrant, flashy, right? Being disciplined doesn't always get you the immediate results as compared to, like, some of the other talents and gifts and stuff like that. But in that day-to-day, like, even if you're not rewarded immediately or you're not rewarded in the thing that you're being disciplined in for this specific goal, that discipline is going to help you out in so many other areas of your life. And that's why I say, like, you're always building your house, regardless of what that might look like. What you're doing right now can prepare you for so many things along in the future. That's when people are like, oh, I don't have, people be in all these organizations, but they say they don't have any working experience. It's like, no, you have experience in these things right here. Like, that's, I'm thinking I forgot what episode it was, but we were talking about, like, how the church is a breeding ground for people who make music and stuff like that, or just all kinds of, like, talents in general, and how a lot of times we feel sad or we feel unmotivated because we're not seeing the results or the change that we want to see because we've been serving in this area for, like, X amount of years. And I can wholeheartedly say, like, there's some things I did in church that's helping me, in other areas of my life. And at the time, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this no more. Like, people aren't showing up like they're supposed to. Granted, now they do, so it's cool. But it just goes to show that, like,
the growing pains.
Yeah, there's growing pains. It's gonna be hard, but, like, there's gonna be things that you can do to, like, help you get to where you want to go.
I want to propose a other side, because I mean, you obviously love your day to day. You love running.
That's true.
I hate my day to day. I don't like my career that I chose, it makes me money. It's great. But like I said, it's not what I want to do, right? Because what I want to do isn't the most lucrative and it's not the most rewarding. But I love it. But that's not part of my day to day. It's something that like I have to like set time up to do and all this stuff like that. And I want to tell the people, to those that don't, not that you hate your day to day, but it's like you don't really like your day to day, or it's like what you have to do to get to those places. I'm really big on like being future minded almost, because I know that there's a me that's going to be at that point by God's grace. I know there's a me that's going to be at a show. There, I know there's a me that's going to be at a performance. And I know there's a me that's going to be making a song or playing something, whatever. As I'm going through the day-to-day minutia of like working, or, you know, just working a job that you don't want to work, or, you know, doing things that you don't really want to do or you don't enjoy like at all. When you think about those goals, or like even like working out, like I'm going to keep it a stack. I'm not a big fan of working out. I know it's something I got to do, but I'm not a huge fan of it. But I know that there's a me in the future that when I reach there, I'm going to like really like it. Even at the end of like a workout, it's like, oh yeah, I like the way I feel right now. Not in the middle of this, you know, I like the way I feel right then. Try to think of that point and strive toward that point. Because when you get there, even though, yeah, like you said, the peak isn't going to stay long, the peak is still enjoyable. Like, you know, enjoy the view.
Yeah, for sure.
Enjoy the view of the peak. And then that's that reaching that goal. Like, you know, I know for me, that's what helps that day to day. Because like I said, I'm hearing you. I'm like, yeah, I know you love running.
Nah, for sure.
I don't like IT.
No, that's fair. And I can use something different than just running. So I read a lot.
Yeah.
I used to hate reading, right? And I just did one book at a time. And I think that's the key when it comes to the day-to-day stuff, even when it comes to your goals or even having to set aside time to do stuff, is just really be all in at that time when you're doing that thing. Like be present when you're doing that thing, right? Because that's what's going to help you almost be immersed in the day-to-day and make it more enjoyable, right? Just giving yourself time like, all right, I want to, you know, I can't wait to play this weekend because I just love playing so much. And then, yeah, you might not be like where you want to be musically, but like just making those steps like, yo, I just made a really good song today. That felt really good. And so being able to celebrate those small wins, right? And this is something I do too, is like being your biggest fan, right? When you're your biggest fan, and not like in an arrogant or cocky way or nothing like that, but when you're your biggest fan, you're always going to cheer for yourself. You're always going to clap for yourself. And it's important, even in those day-to-day things, to still do that, even with, you know, you wrote maybe one lyric, like that's enough to celebrate the day. Like, yo, I was able to do this thing. And so I think just learning how to celebrate in the monotony is important and it's real. And so I think that's really what I want to hone in on for people is like, yeah, what you're doing, you might not like your day to day, but when you are working towards those goals, really be deeply immersed in it and celebrate that and be happy and grateful for the fact that you're even able to do those things. There has to be a point where you're just grateful to even chase the dream, right?
I'm grateful.
Like you just gotta get to a point you're just grateful for it, man.
To add to that, I would say also put in some stuff that just makes the day to day not too boring. Because if you just keep doing day to day, you're gonna drive yourself crazy. So like, I guess you can call it like cheat days or just cheat whatever that looks like in your process. Like this day, I'm just not gonna do anything that is pertaining to this. And it may sound bad, but it's like just to reset your mind. Because in the grand scheme of things, like look at God. God rested on the seventh day. He didn't grind.
That's
it's like, true. Have some cheat days. Have some days to yourself for self-care. Have some days to just explore other things, and all that is going to help you, like just keep your day to day.
It's true.
Not
it's
as
true.
like mind
numbing.
It's
mind
true.
numbing.
I agree with that, and I think also because even I don't run every day, so Like even the day. That's
crazy.
Yeah, I know.
And you
right?
still made it to the Olympics.
I think you don't have to run every day.
You don't.
Right?
It's true. Granted, I run 6 days a week, but and then take some time off. Like just because when it comes to like chasing these dreams and these goals, it can be very mentally taxing. So it's definitely important to like take that time to just rest, to recuperate, and have a recovery process, have a recovery routine. Like what, like you said, self-care. Like how does that look like? What does that look like? Like if you're playing guitar, like rest your hands for a day. Don't be on your hands that much, or do things that can help you just recover and recuperate and stuff like that. So what I want to go into now is, do any of y'all have any like personal testimonies of what trust in the process has looked like for you?
I be trusting the process every day. I mean, when I'm thinking about, no, for real, when you think about it, it's like you can apply this to everything that you're doing in life.
It's
so
true.
like I'm married. I've been married for 2 years, and marriage as a whole, trust in the process.
That's
true.
Anything that has a journey in life requires you to trust the process, trust the journey will be sweet on the other side, because everybody is looking. Well, let me not say that. Let me retract. Everybody looks forward towards wedding day, the big day. And it's like, yeah, we're going to party. I get to marry the love of my life. And then that day is over. That's like a race day or something.
Yeah.
After that day is over, then what? Then you have to go through the day-to-day. And the day-to-day is not, roses every day. It's like there's certain things that you have to do to build your character. The whole trust in the process thing is what builds the character.
Yeah,
moving forward.
That's
It's not the destination when you race and you won the race. It's like, my character is built. Your character has been built through the ups and downs of you trusting the process and sometimes not trusting it and getting back up, trusting again. So when I'm thinking about my marriage, is like, that's just a journey that's building my character personally. If I look at myself 2 years before where I am right now, is a way different Ehide than what I'm looking at right now. And that's just because of what I've learned through the journey, what I've gone through to get to where I am right now. And I'm not saying like I'm at the end of the or I'm not at the destination, but like just going through these 2 years, I've learned so much. So much has built my character. So much has built my faith. I've learned how to I've just learned about life, about other people apart from myself, and like just being with another person gives you a whole different perspective on life, a whole nother way to do things, just period. So I say like trusting the process. You can definitely see that in your marriage.
Yeah,
for sure.
Agree. And something that I was going to bring up a little bit later, one of my favorite verses in the Bible, James 1 verse 2 says, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, for you know that testing of your faith produces steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect. You may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing." So pretty much it says, count it thank God when you go through like trials and tribulations, because that creates character, right? So the downs are really what creates character, right? I don't know if we've all met like spoiled brats, right? Who get everything that they want in life and don't really have
no character.
They have no character. They're literally just NPCs that just go through life pressing. You skipped them. But I think that is a very, very, very good place that you have to trust the process with, which is relationships in general, right? For me, it'll be my relationship with my son, who was born approximately a year ago. And when he was first born, to be honest, like I didn't feel that overwhelming love or desire for him. It was just like, okay, I have a son now. Like now I have more responsibility. And not necessarily like I was sad about that, but it was just something that wasn't necessarily present at first, right? I was more so worried about the
financial,
more so keeping the house together. Right? At that time, a lot was going on. We were moving. Literally, my wife gave birth. We moved. Around that time, I was starting a new job, and it was just a lot happening at that time, right? So over the past year, I've been learning how to be a father, learning how to be a husband to someone who has a child, and understanding the new dynamic that I have. And now approximately a year later, I thank God for trusting the process because I do love that kid now, right? Yeah. I can say that like that is my man's, my road dog, and I have overwhelming affection and appreciation for him and all that is him. So the past year was not easy, right? There was a lot of late nights. There was a lot of, going to the hospital because you're not sure what's wrong with the baby or asking questions because you're worried. Or, helping your wife out because she just went through this dramatic process. Yeah. But, at the end of it, I thank God, right? I would say I would do it all over again because although the process was hard, I'm grateful for what is at the end. So, yeah, that's...
Trust in the process.
Gotta trust the process for that, bro.
It's true. And I think what makes trust in the process challenging is the downs, but that's for the character. Like you said, the character gets developed like crazy. And it's easy to say, like, trust the process. I remember when in 2021, well, in 2020, I can start there. So, just before COVID, the Olympics was in Tokyo. We all thinking we about to, go in there. I just made world championships the year before. So I'm like, all right, bet. Start the year off with an injury, my first injury ever. I'm like, bruh, what is going on? I had post-tib tendonitis. They thought it was like an navicular stress fracture, and that's basically like a crack in the bone type stuff. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was wild. And I was just like, bro, what the heck? Like, what do I do right now? And so I think the key with trusting the process too is learning how to control what you can, right? There's always something that you can do. And so put your focus in that, right? Focus on what you can do today to get ready for tomorrow. And like I said, the downs is hard, right? So then COVID hits, and then we're like, okay, we get another year to like prepare. 2021 hits, I didn't make the team, and I was just like, bro, what the heck? I'm 28 at the time. Like, it's like, can I still do this? Like, do I still got it? I remember one kid commented like, man, like you always tell me, trust the process. And I was just like, oh, the process sucks right now. But you still have to trust the process even when it doesn't love you back. You have to love it even when it's not loving you back. Even when the times where it's down and it sucks.
I would honestly prefer the process when it's down than when it's stagnant. That's how impatient I am. Like, I would rather be struggling through a situation.
You want to see some type of movement.
Yeah, just
even negative
something
movement
happen. Like,
I mean, sometimes
something happens.
I mean,
like
even
things are moving behind the scenes.
Yeah,
exactly. But I'm not seeing it, so it's hard for me.
I was gonna say because sometimes even in the stagnance, there's still movement, and I think the hardest thing about growing is you rarely feel the movement. So like, it's hard to like, you don't see the growth until so much later, and you're like, damn, I really like grew through this, that, and the third. And I think too, for me, like I learned to really love the process when like fear of failure wasn't even a fear anymore. Like for me, it was like, even if I didn't make the Olympics, like I'm so grateful to have been on this journey to get to where I want to go. And that's just the mentality I've been carrying with me now since. Like, even if I don't sign the contract, even if I don't make the Olympics, even if I don't, achieve this big goal that I might have prayed for, I'm just really grateful to say I've wanted to do this thing and work towards that thing. Like, it's a privilege, to be a father. It's a privilege to be married. It's a privilege to, want to pursue music. And so I think, like, if we can look at the process almost as a privilege, because a lot of people don't be getting these opportunities. And even in the times where it's hard, like, remember, this is at some point, we're living in our answered prayers, essentially. Like, there's times we pray to be married. There's times we pray to release music. There's times we pray to have kids and stuff like that. So there's always things that we're praying for constantly. Just always remember, like, this is what you pray for. So, like, really be grateful and appreciative of this moment, even in the times where it gets challenging. Like, for me, I prayed to, be a professional athlete. And so now I'm like, dang, it's getting hard. Like, I don't know what to do. But it's like, dang, Edo said, like, you prayed back in 2016, 2017, you was praying for this. Like, this is you're living in the moment of your prayers right now. So I say all that to say, like, really appreciate, whatever stage of life you're in, even if, it's not, the process isn't stagnant or it's not moving the way you want it to, or it's just, doing X, Y, Z. Just be appreciative of it. And the thing is, you're always going to get rewarded by God. The reward might just look different. And I always am reminded of Hebrews 11, where all the talks were, by faith, this person, this thing, that thing, that thing. But I think one thing people don't talk about much of is like the last couple of verses where it talks about people who did things of faith and they didn't receive what they wanted, but in the word it still talked about, they were still rewarded. And so I pay attention to that verse because it's like, I'm gonna do this in faith, and even if I don't get what I pray for, I know I'm still rewarded in whatever it might be, whether it's rewarded in a great work ethic, regardless of whether it's rewarded in something that I was even able to consistently pray for. Just there's always some type of reward, and like I said, you're always gonna be rewarded, but the reward just looks different. And there's another quote that this one dude told me in his class I was in. He was like, "The grind is always gonna pay off, but the currency just might look different to you." And so. You just gotta
one more time.
The grind is always gonna pay off, but the currency might look different to you.
Wow, that's hard.
Wow.
So
it's always gonna pay.
Like it's always gonna pay. You just also you have to work hard to find out what type of currency is gonna pay. So like you always gonna have to work hard. There's always a process that's gonna need to be done, and it's important that in this new year that. We just focus on what we need to do. And even if you don't reach the goals that God had, that you pray to God for, like, just believe that there is a reward for you. It just might look different.
It always pays off.
Period.
One thing I'm thinking about too, I think it's in the Bible somewhere. It's like basically saying God won't give you more than you can handle, essentially. So I think that's part of trusting the process too. Just understanding that the fact that I'm in here means that God hasn't trusted me to handle this. I'm saying I got this. So that should just give you like enough faith and motivation to be like, yeah, I'm gonna get through this because God is putting me through it. He wouldn't put me through it if I wouldn't make it out on the other side.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, there's another Bible verse that says, those who come to God must believe that He is, and He's a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. Right. So I think that's like side by side. Like, whatever you go through, God knows that you got it. Right. You being in that is like God just encouraging you, right? Giving you the slap on the back, saying, "I know you got it," and at the same time,
spotting you.
That's so
perfect. Yeah,
perfect.
That's perfect.
God is spotting you as you're like in the gym lifting the weight, but also at the same time. You believe in Him, and you believe that He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. So in what you're doing, as you're doing it for the glory of God, like it always pays off.
Yeah.
Like no matter what happens, no matter what it looks like, you being diligent in that thing, He will reward you in it. That is really, really, really encouraging. The last thing that I realized in just our current day and age, something that would make it hard in trusting God is always opening up social media and seeing people who are at a different point in their process.
Yeah, comparison.
Be for joy.
Yeah, because I be thinking like today I've been off of Instagram. Just be very honest, I've been off Instagram for a while. Right, I pop on every now and then when somebody does something to like support, but I've been like it was off my phone. And then today, I got on to post something like a Merry Christmas joint, right?
Oh yeah, I saw it. It's really cute.
Thank you. And I was just scrolling.
It's not Christmas yet, guys. For those of you guys watching.
Yeah.
For them, it's like we're in 2025.
Yeah,
we haven't hit
so
Christmas.
We haven't hit Christmas yet. You got us. We recorded this early.
Yeah,
the jig is up. The jig is up.
Not bad. They're living in the year 3000.
Let us know how Trump doing. It's like, but yeah, so and I was just like scrolling, right, and like. Literally in my life has been great, bro. Like I've been seeing God work. I've been grateful for coming out of things. Like, I've been good, right? And I'm scrolling and I'm like, dang, I suck.
Oh man.
You scrolling, you're like, golly. These Bama's are tough. I need to up my game, bro.
It's true.
So I think just that aspect, just very simple aspect. I mean, I'm not saying like I had an existential crisis. Yeah. But I'm being very, very vulnerable. And like the deep core of my mind, what I was really thinking, I'm like, dang, so
I feel that.
I think there it definitely changes your perspective very quickly. Yeah. And it changes it from your vision and your goal to someone else's vision and their goal where they currently are. And you're like, dang, I am so far off from that, where that's not even where you're meant to be.
It's true. And what works for them might not work for you. Like there's one thing in track, like even my two people I train with, we all run the same event, but our training styles are sometimes different. Like there's workouts that I need to do that are tailored specifically for me, and it might be something that he does. Yet we're doing the same exact event on the track, but what works for him might not work for me, and vice versa. So it's really important to trust God with your own process. Like your process is yours, and then two, for me, what helps me like kill the whole comparison thing is like it'll mean more when my time finally comes. I see this thing. And it's like, dang, I want this, but I know it's gonna mean so much more when my time comes for it. So, yeah. Tyler, you have anything?
In terms of like the testimony or
just in general.
Oh, in general, I mean, man, I don't know. Trusting the process is difficult. Like everybody says, it's not my favorite time. It's not my favorite thing. I won't lie. But, you know, I'm learning to love it. I'm learning to kind of just be in the moment. You know, because I'm not really a meticulous person, I don't really enjoy the minutia. And I don't really enjoy the little bit by bit by bit by bit. Not a big fan of that. But I see... Right. I see the I see the reason for it, and I see the need for it. And sometimes I even do revel in it, but like I said, I'm gonna keep it a stack here, guys. I'm not a fan of it, and if you're not a fan of it, I think that's also okay to notice, as long as you notice it, and then, you know, not even necessarily like, because sometimes I feel like people think that like you got to be like this like Superman or something like that. You got to have every single skill set and every single, you got to love it. It's like, bruh, everybody has their strengths. This guy is discipline personified. I'm not. I am a big picture. I'm a big guy. I like big. I like, you know, big plans, big things, big everything, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, so if you feel like you don't have that skill, don't stress over it. Take note of your weaknesses and supplement it. You know, maybe put in a little extra effort when you need to do it, but don't kill yourself over like, oh yeah, I don't have that skill. I'm not trusting the process. I'm just, you know,
Sure.
you know, take everything that everybody's saying in this, just like I am. I'm like taking in everything, you know. I think this episode, it was good. It's not to my strength. That's why I didn't really have a whole lot to say, but it was more me just like listening and, you know, providing what I can and just, you know, representing the not disciplined party.
That's real. And I think the cool thing too is there's one thing you said about, you know, playing into your strengths. I think that's extremely important as well, because there still could be some listener who's listening to this like, well, I'm not disciplined. I don't know what to do. And so play to your strengths. You don't have to wake up early in the morning to go work out to be successful, but you can maximize the time that you're awake or the time that you do wake up to like do certain things. Or like if you're an introvert and, you know, you don't like doing, you're in a position where you have to, you know, come out of your shell a little bit, you know, play to your introvert strength, build those deep relationships and stuff like that. So there's strengths that we can always do. There's, like I said before, there's always something that you can do and just try to focus on that. A lot of times we always look at our weaknesses before we look at our strengths. So really play into your strengths, play into the things that you're able to do and play into the things that you can do really well and just be exceptionally good at those things that you do well. And your weaknesses, yes, you can improve on them. And that's the beauty of it too. Like you can always, there's always room for improvement. So really those strengths that you have, really like go ham in those things. So yeah, man. So just want to say, you know, thank you all for indulging me this episode and thank you all for letting me host y'all. Ike, we miss you. And
Don't.
I mean,
Enjoy your vacation because you'll be back in
kidding.
the sweatshop soon.
that's what I was about to say. Like that 360 deal is about to like what?
But nah, that was good. Thank you for your wisdom, man.
Appreciate
was
that, man.
extremely pivotal, especially going into the new year.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna need that. So.
But yeah, man. So for y'all, thank y'all so much for listening to us. And I wish you all, you know, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, y'all.
Embrace the process when it comes to chasing these dreams and these goals. Remember, it's the dreams you chose, and you got this.
Yes, sir.
Clock that, sir.
2020,
2025.
Clock it.
Let's go.
Clock it.
And it's alright. Clock it.
God, you been good, you changed my life. Trusting in your will, not thinking twice. Shining on that hill just like a light.